Tired of your game master's lame campaign? Want to wrestle control from them and decide the story by yourself? Then check out the Mythic rules from Paizo's new book, War of Immortals. Thank you, Paizo, for my complimentary copy. A Mythic character is a special type of character who received a calling for a great destiny. A character's either mythic or not mythic, but generally all player characters at a table will be mythic if you're playing a mythic campaign. Most characters become mythic at level 1 or 2, and the main mechanical benefit is similar to the benefits of the free archetype variant rule. Every class gets a class feat on even levels. Normally, if you want an archetype, you must trade in these feats for whatever your chosen archetype's feats are that you want. Free archetype gives you an extra column of class feats you can use exclusively for archetype feats. You still need to take the archetype's dedication feat as normal, but in this case you don't need to sacrifice your class feats to do it. A mythic character also gets an extra column of class feats, but these class feats are for their mythic destiny, which is like a very powerful archetype with special narrative powers. The mythic destiny archetype's dedication feat is at level 12, so you need to be at least level 12 before you can take them. While you might plan out all the feats and archetypes you'll take from the very beginning for a regular character, the story of your character nearly always emerges from play. Maybe at level 2 you encounter a young orphaned boar and decide to take the Beastmaster archetype so you can have him as an animal companion. Maybe you find a magic bow, so you take the assisting shot fighter class feat to use it more effectively. Once you reach higher levels, your unique character will have been carved out by your choices and the story. A mythic destiny instead gives you a North Star that you're destined for. You essentially choose your epic level 20 fate at level 12. Take careful aim and then fire yourself towards that destiny at full speed. And then every mythic destiny archetype feat you take will inch you closer to that ultimate inevitable goal. For example, the Broken Chain is a mythic destiny that destines you to overthrow a tyrannical government or something similar. Their dedication feat gives you Ultimatum of Liberation when you shout at a creature you believe is oppressing others and impose penalties on them. But the oppressor can end the effect immediately as a free action if they truthfully agree to stop oppressing forever. So you can essentially force and or encourage your GM to change their story to fit your destiny. Apocalypse Riders are destined to become one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. In their final level 20 form, they're fiends that are immortal as long as their horse or mount lives, and their dedication feat at level 12 gives them said mount. Archfiends are destined to become leaders of their own realm of demons or devils, and at level 20 they get their own demiplane. Ascended Celestials instead become angels or something similar, and eventually stop aging and can bring people back to life. The Beast Lord is destined to become one with their animal companion, or plant companion, or robot companion, or whatever, and can't be permanently killed unless both die. The Eternal Legend is a folk hero with enhanced battle prowess, and you can choose at level 20. If you're killed, you'll be instantly brought back to life if a complete stranger utters your name within 1 week while recounting your legendary deeds. The Godling destines you to become a god and gives you domain and domain spells, and at level 20 you become a god and gain all the statistics of a god, and other characters like clerics can even worship you and get powers from you. The Prophesied Monarch is destined to become a great king or queen, and their dedication feat lets them designate 5 allies as their knights, and if they die they have a level 20 feat that lets one of their knights take up their mantle and get all their powers. A wild spell is attached to a font of infinite magic, and their dedication feat gives them a surging emanation of magic. But if most characters become mythic at level 1, what are all these empty feat slots for? You can use them for mythic feats, a shared pool of feats that mythic characters can take. Most of them are pretty similar. Your character has up to 3 mythic points. A mythic feat will describe some specific use of a skill, like swimming for athletics or sensing motive for perception, and if you have the feat and spend a mythic point, you can roll that skill at mythic proficiency. Pathfinder has 5 ranks of proficiencies: untrained, trained, expert, master, and legendary, and each one has a different bonus, and everything except untrained adds a level to the bonus as well. Mythic proficiency is just like the other ranks except it's plus 10 plus level, but characters don't just get it, giving them a plus 10 forever. Instead, they use these mythic feats to let them temporarily upgrade their proficiency in a skill for a single action, and these feats can be specific, like arms that cut the waves lets you swim at mythic proficiency, or ears that hear the truth lets you sense motive at mythic proficiency, or finally at level 10 you can finally take mythic strike to strike at mythic proficiency. These are very specific, but as you level up you get more mythic feats, which might give you the ability to use mythic proficiency for more and more actions, and eventually you might have a bunch of actions that you can use mythic proficiency for. But then by the time you're level 10 you might already be an expert or master in these skills, so going from a plus 6 to a plus 10 is not as good, and by the time you're level 20 you can use mythic proficiency to do all kinds of things, but it's basically only a plus 2 bonus. And most mythic feats also give you some extra benefit in addition to rolling with mythic proficiency, such as mythic proficiency reflex saves letting you jump 30 feet for free, called Fling into Action, and then there's a few others like spending a mythic point to regain all your focus points, or giving you a plus 10 move speed, or that are unrelated to mythic proficiency. All mythic characters at least get the ability to rewrite Fate, which lets you re-roll a skill or saving throw with Mythic proficiency at the cost of 1 Mythic point. As soon as you become a Mythic character, you get a calling, which is like a mini destiny, but really it just gives you the benefits similar to a Mythic feat. For example, the Thief calling lets you pick locks at Mythic proficiency if you spend 1 Mythic point. It also gives you a way to regain Mythic points if you critically succeed at a certain skill check. Mythic points fuel your Mythic abilities, and you start a session, an out-of-character gaming session, with 3 Mythic points. But you can also replenish your Mythic points by completing epic tasks. Like if you and your party defeat a Mythic monster, you all regain 1 Mythic point. And if you land the killing blow or spell, you regain 2 Mythic points. That means you should be looking out for Mythic threats to defeat. In fact, it can be dangerous not to. If you just go around being a Mythic jerk by defeating non-Mythic creatures, you'll eventually run out of Mythic points, and then you'll just be a regular jerk. Mythic monsters can be any level. A Mythic monster stat block is usually identical to a non-Mythic creature, except for an extra section detailing their Mythic abilities. For example, a monster might be able to use a Mythic point to remove any condition from themselves. Both your calling and your destiny will give you edicts and anathema, because often your character becoming Mythic is conditional. You need to follow your edicts and anathema, or else you'll lose your Mythic powers. But following your edicts in a particularly interesting way might grant you a Mythic point, or any other GM-approved legendary accomplishment. But the best way to replenish your Mythic points is by completing a Mythic deed. A Mythic deed is a non-combat challenge that is kind of like a series of skill checks, or maybe uses a subsystem like the research system. It represents completing some important task on your quest to fulfill your destiny. For example, if your destiny is to defeat an evil dragon that's taken the ancestral home of some dwarves, you might not be able to fight the dragon if it's level 21 and you're level 14, but you might instead complete a Mythic deed, such as stealing the Dwarf King's ancestral crown from the dragon, which might use the infiltration system or a series of skill checks. Being Mythic also makes it more difficult to die. If you normally would die, you instead become doomed 1, and then if you start dying again, you become doomed 2, so it gives you an extra layer of protection.